Welcome to the Lady Doctors, where the focus on health issues facing women is addressed from an integrative and holistic approach. Today, the ladies tackle stress and its impact on your health. You'll receive tips on how to make healthy food choices and explore meditation as a way to relieve stress. Get inspired by our trailblazer, a community leader who is innovating healthcare in areas that need it the most. This show will celebrate healing, loving, and enjoying life spiritually, mentally, and physically. Ready to be transformed and have some fun? The Lady Doctors will see you now.
Doctors. I'm Dr. Anita Polite Wilson, your life coach. Working in the field of human and organization systems, I encourage my clients to adopt this foundational principle. Change your frame, change your focus, change your future. When you practice looking at situations from a different perspective, which is called reframing, you're able to focus on what's really important and make better choices in pursuit of the future you choose to create. That's what the Lady Doctors is all about. So ladies, introduce yourselves.
Super exciting. I'm Dr. Wendy Ashley. I'm a clinical psychologist and a licensed clinical social worker, and my practice focuses on relationships, how you feel about you and how you feel about the people around you.
All right. I'm Dr. Lisa Crane, and I'm an obstetrician gynecologist in private practice, board certified in the Southern California area. I think probably everybody knows what an OBGYN is. I don't have to go into much detail with that. All about the girly parts. But my practice does encompass obstetrics, gynecology, as well as infertility.
All right, I'm Dr. Lisa Lewis. I'm a naturopathic doctor and acupuncturist. I use holistic medicine to help people to heal from the inside out using, I treat the cause. I guess that's the best way to say it instead of the symptom, helping you to take a natural path to rapid recovery.
I like that natural path. Go, girl.
I love that.
Now give me some fist bump on that.
I know. Hi, I'm Gloria Chance. I'm the innovator. I'm a humanistic psychologist. I focus on creativity and the imagination. I help people overcome their negative patterns based on the myths and stories they've told themselves. I believe that if our imaginations are limited or non-existent, so are we. Yeah, that's so important. Yeah.
Well, together, our mission is to highlight health issues for all women with particular consideration for the unique challenges facing women of color. In other words, this show is for us, by us, to empower us, so don't doubt us. Can I get a witness? Can I get a witness? All right. Today's discussion is on health and stress. But before we dive into our topic, let's first define what stress is. According to WebMD, stress is any change in the environment that requires your body to react and adjust in response. The body reacts to these changes with physical, mental, and emotional responses. So ladies, what do you think?
I think about stress, about it being like a disconnection from yourself. And I also think about it's a dis-ease. You talked about it before. It's an uneasiness that you know something's wrong or off, but you're not sure what it is. And it's sort of dangerous because there could be underlying things occurring from the stress, like potential heart attack or stroke, or maybe you just need to sleep. But it's definitely a disconnection, right? A disconnection.
For sure, and it's a reminder of how our head and our bodies are connected. It's an internal signal if there's some type of danger, something's wrong.
I always think of not the stressor, right, but our response. It's like how you respond to stress that's really important, because we all have stress. We're all going to have it. We can't get rid of it. Our bodies are designed to handle it, but that acute stress we get rid of. That chronic stress is the part that causes the disease, and it's how we handle the stress that's important. So
Yeah.
that's
For me, that feeling of not being in control, that's really what stress is about.
Right. Well, but in addition to the feeling of not being in control, bringing on stress, sometimes when you are in control, that's a different type of stress because the responsibility is on you.
Right.
But when we talk about our responses, in those dire situations, there's a fight or flight. But in normal everyday stress, there's a silence or violence. When you go into the silence mode, you withdraw. When you go into the violence mode, you might verbally attack others. So we all need to know what stress means for them, right? That's real, right? Right. So we all need to know what stress is for us. So how do you ladies determine and help your clients determine what's normal stress for them?
You know, I think about, and this sounds a little bit crazy and sort of counterintuitive because people don't think about having fun when they're stressed out, right? The last thing you want to do is have fun. But I believe, again, that creativity and using your imagination is so important when you're under stress. Because if you can let it go for a moment and get a different view, it can really change. Yeah, it can change how you feel.
And I really think that, from my opinion, stress is the #1 silent killer.
I agree.
Because it affects so many physical conditions, but mental, emotional conditions. I mean, all of us, right? So there's hypertension associated to diabetes, associated to, all kinds of physical challenges. But one really big one is infertility. And a lot of women don't recognize that their ability to have children is really can be tied into their stress. So
We do know from a medical standpoint that stress affects almost every organ system, including the immune system. It makes us not able to fight infection as well. Also the cardiovascular system, we talked about heart attacks, strokes, palpitations. I could go on. The GI system, including ulcers, peptic ulcer disease. It's just perpetual. It can get everything. Acne, hair loss.
But,
we can go on.
I think one of the real interesting issues is that although we have it, we can treat it, you guys. We can measure it. That's the really important part.
And most people don't know that.
Yeah, they
Right.
think, oh, you have stress, But there's saliva tests, different, very easy testing, so you can actually understand where you fall on that level. And as we talk about hormones, right? We're talking about cortisol. Cortisol is actually released from your adrenal glands, and that's the hormone that we test. And it's so amazing to see that number and then see it go down or go up. Depends on where you are while you're being treated. right. And so we can test it, we can see it, you can heal it.
Well, and I love that you said that because I think when you say hormones, you have 5 women sitting here. We think about, like we're out of our minds every month. And some people get lucky enough to have a few bad days. Some people get lucky and only have 2 good weeks.
Right.
So the truth is that hormones do make you feel out of control. And people feel, and you talk about out of control, people feel out of control. And so one of the things, I love what you said earlier about the fact that, or you said it, one of you said it, about really being able to respond well to stress. That's what's important. I mean, the difference between eustress, which is healthy stress, and distress, which is the negative stress, is how we react and respond to it. So we do have some room to manage our perceptions, which changes everything.
But in order to know how to respond to it, we need time to reflect.
Totally.
We need to sit down and figure out what's really bothering me. I don't think it's necessarily Gloria. It's something that Gloria said or did that reminds me of somebody else who really does cause me stress.
Exactly.
But we
Right.
can't figure that out unless we take the time to reflect.
I have an amazing way to manage stress and help people manage stress. It's simple, deep breathing, belly breathing, counting to 10. And I know that sounds so simple, but if you do it, if you breathe from the belly and you count to 10, inhale and exhale, you can't hold the stress. It just removes it right from your body.
But absolutely, and in addition to that, as you're exhaling, just exhale whatever's bothering you. Just think about that. Be intentional about the breathing and what's bothering you, and just let it go through the breath.
I actually talk to some of my patients as well, and I try to practice this as well, I call them the 3 R's: record, relegate, and release. So we all know that when we're stressed, it's that feeling of not being in control. So just a very act of just writing things down sort of puts us back in control. Our problems don't control us, we're in charge of them. And then this is the important part: relegate a time later on in the day to actually action on these things. So it's not just enough to say I have problems and they're not going to go away. So how am I going to, fix these? And you need to make sure you have a time to do it. It's like, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock before the kids go to bed. And then release it. So the rest of the day, if you find yourself worrying, it's not 9, 10 o'clock, I can't worry about that. Let me put that back. And then, and it frees you to live the rest of your day not, knowing that you're going to get your things acted on, but still taking care
Giving
of
you some
things.
space.
Because worry and anxiety is actually stress. Most people don't even recognize
Totally.
that worry and anxiety is another form of
And
stress.
all that noise going on in your mind, it really blocks out your ability to do positive things. And so what I recommend for people to do is sleep. Like use sleep therapy music that will help relax your mind and your body.
Well, before we go any further, here's what we want you to take away from this topic. When you're feeling stressed, count to 10. Take a moment to reflect and know what's normal for you. You need to figure out your stress threshold. Through reflection, look at your life. What can you eliminate? What can you add to enhance? And always find someone to talk to about it. A spouse, a family member, a physician. You'll see these takeaways throughout the show, so we encourage you to jot them down as a reference or reminder to keep you on track through this healthy journey you're on. And you're not on it alone. The Lady Doctors are here to walk through it with you. If you'd like more information or have any questions on today's subject, go to www.theladydoctorstv.com. We'd love to get your questions and comments, and we'll be right back.
Here at the Lady Doctors, we're always on the lookout for innovators and trailblazers striving for change and advancement. Dr. Catherine Sullivan, founder and CEO of Metro Health Station, is changing the way residents of Los Angeles are receiving health care. Metro Health Station is built around the idea of a doctor's visit being just another stop in one's day, providing care in a quick and efficient manner. Here's how trailblazer Dr. Catherine Sullivan is bringing health equity to Los Angeles.
Well, Metro Health Station is an innovation in the way we think about health and healthcare. You won't know what to expect when you walk in the door, and I don't know what to expect when I come to work. But guess what? The two of us will meet each other and we'll say, well, what do you need to be healthy? So what we do is we analyze people's health as an individual, then we analyze the health of a person within a family, and then we look at, well, what's going on in the family? We have dentists and dental assistants, and we have marriage family therapists, psychiatrists, and psychologists, so that, when you walk in the door and we don't know what to expect, you can expect that we will have the right person here to take care of your needs. So in order to understand our philosophy here, we're saying that what does a person need to be healthy? Well, first off, you have to look at what does a person need to be healthy in their physiologic health, in their body system's health. What does a person need to be healthy in their oral system? And what does a person need to be healthy spiritually and emotionally? And what we do here is we actually analyze the different aspects of a person's health. And a person can't be healthy unless all of these things are in balance. When we look at a person's whole health, so we look at their emotional health, we look at their medical health, and then we look at their physical health. But when you look at someone's physical health, you look at their height, you look at their weight, but it's more than that. And so we use technology here that allows us to look at body composition, because I want to know if someone's body is predominantly fat or predominantly muscle. So that's what body composition is used for. We're in a place that we're calling a health desert. But when you're in a neighborhood that lacks health facilities, if you don't have a health facility, then you don't have health professionals. Then you're in a health desert. But we've decided that we were going to build a health facility, and we were going to figure out a way to make sure that anyone who walked through that door would be able to get health services here. We have turned healthcare into the business of healthcare. And what I'm trying to do is to return healthcare to the practice of healthcare. Totally different. Metro Health Station is something that really doesn't exist anyplace else. It's a true innovation. It's what would a health facility look like if it focused on what a person needs to be healthy, what a family needs to be healthy, what a child needs to be healthy.
Dr. Sullivan hopes the Metro Health Station will change the way people feel about healthcare and their overall wellness. For more information, visit metrohealthstation.com.
Wow, what an incredible story. Just imagine all the challenges Dr. Sullivan must have experienced while pursuing this dream. It could not have been easy managing all the stress that comes with maintaining a work-life balance. I'm sure everyone in the audience and you all at home can relate. What about here, ladies? What do you guys think?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh my gosh. I mean, you know, medical school alone is so challenging and stressful, but you know, starting this healthcare practitioner, you know, it's just amazing that they're bringing the health and the care back to healthcare. That's so amazing.
I love her passion, right? She's so super passionate. I'm so pleased to see people bringing awareness to the role that equity and to access to resources plays in healthcare, or effective healthcare anyway.
Yeah, and I loved her emotion. I mean, the fact that she was in tears, because we can all relate to that when we're helping people. Exactly. And I think it made me think about growing up in the inner city in Brooklyn, when Brooklyn wasn't that great, and the fact that we didn't have access to healthcare, and that something like this could be available for inner city children today is incredible. Absolutely.
Well, purely from a practical standpoint, I'm a commuter, an hour to work, an hour home. And I wish that I had some type of service like that so that I could truly make my healthcare another stop in my day.
Wow. Well, speaking of stress, we know stress comes from many different sources, from work to illness to relationships. As we continue our discussions about stress, we're going to detour over to sex, because, as you know, it can be a major source of both a causation and relief in our relationships and on our bodies. But let's talk about its impact on relationships first. What's your take on this, ladies?
Okay, I'm gonna jump on right in here and just get it over with. For me, sex and stress is a double-edged sword, because when I'm tired, I don't even want to be looked at, let alone touched. But then if I'm so stressed that I can't sleep at night, Mr. Wilson gets a little around 2 or 3 in the morning. So, you know, he's not complaining, but it is what it is.
Yeah, but you know, for single ladies, it's not that easy. I mean, if you want to roll over at 2 a.m., you know, you don't really know what's going to be happening, or, you know, or whatever. So it's kind of tough, right? Yeah, it's a challenge, for sure.
Well, I feel like it brings up the issue of communication, right? Like, I see a lot of couples, and sex is such a big issue for couples, except that that's the last thing they talk about. And I just think that that's a larger issue that we, even us talking about, like whether you're single or whether you're coupled, being able to talk about it with somebody is so uncomfortable and so taboo, even though we have a media saturated full of sex.
Yes. And I know stress as a single mom and sex can be really challenging to, you know, sort of
Put it all together.
Thank you.
But you know, that decreased libido is like the desire to have sex, right? You know, the libido. And that's just going to be decreased if you're stressed out. I mean, who wants to be touched and who's going to be pampered and do all that when you're stressed out? And so hormones play such an amazing role in, you know, our desire and our need to have sex. And when we're stressed out, it's going to be reduced. And so a lot of people are blaming themselves instead of, you know, just thinking and understanding that it's something. It could also be something physical.
I think we can even talk about that related to infertility, as you were saying. From a medical standpoint, it's kind of a gray area as far as a direct cause and relationship. But we do know that there are other problems that cause fertility, things like fibroids, which are more common in the Afro-American population. About maybe 60 to 70% of Afro-American have fibroids. Endometriosis, we also have advanced maternal age, chlamydia and gonorrhea infections, thyroid problems. All these things can actually be an issue with regards to infertility and problems.
Well, I feel like we're talking about two issues. We're talking about the physical part of it, we're talking about the mental part of it, right? Because orgasm is something that we immediately go to, or libido when we talk about it, but sex is only a piece of it. Like, intimacy is huge. And intimacy and orgasm are not the same thing. Like, you can have one without the other. And intimacy requires vulnerability. It requires trust. It requires accountability, which take a little bit of a different kind of work to get to.
Well, absolutely. And I think that your point about intimacy, that first of all, we have to get creative and, you know, literally take the Spanx off of our heads. Because a lot of times
or wherever.
Women, because as women, we're so into our heads, and,
Totally.
and we don't go often into our hearts, especially when it comes to us and getting what we need. And so I think that being creative and using your imagination with fantasies, we all have them, with role playing, we all kind of want to do that if we admit it. and just having fun and going into the bedroom focused in that moment and letting everything else go.
Yeah, and having a conversation is really the challenge, because how many people are really having a conversation about having either intimacy problems or sexual problems? Like, people, it takes them forever to bring it up in doctor's visits, right? Could take 4 or 5 visits before they even bring it up. Right?
And speaking of bringing things up, let's talk about the big Oops. We know that, I think Gloria was talking about this before as well as you, Wendy, that up to 75% of women do not have orgasm with traditional missionary position sex.
Well, then I guess we shouldn't be doing that anymore. Yeah, we got to get creative.
Times take different positions and different stimulations of
different
other
places.
Yes, exactly.
Let's go back. Let's go back though a minute to what you said about getting out of your heads. What about the women, and there are more than we would care to think about, that have been abused, or men that have been abused as young people, and that carries over and we're not even aware of it, that inhibits that intimacy with a spouse or a partner?
But we're also not going in for counseling. We're not going to talk to people about it. And, if you've had some kind of challenge sexually, right, then who are we going to speak to? Who are we going to work through those problems?
Absolutely.
And that's one of the
Because we don't even
biggest
talk about it in
challenges.
our families.
So we
And it
have
goes
to.
back to what you're saying about in this overly saturated, sexualized population, we figure, well, nobody else had this experience, so we feel alone.
Also, I mean, trauma is huge. Like, there's been some studies that show that like 80% of people have had trauma by the time they hit adulthood. Wow. So we're not talking about little numbers. We're talking about all of us are walking around with trauma. So the reality is that it's a part of a lot of people's issues. But people are not talking about it. And so I think you're right. Like, we walk around with this expectation that we should all be able to handle it. But we often do need somebody to talk about it.
Yes, 100%.
Okay, well, with this very important subject matter, there's a lot you can take away with you. But let's remember, really, if we have something going on, we don't want to wait. We want to elevate the situation to the right professional. We want to remember to be vulnerable so that we can heal or fix the situation. We want to have open communication with our partners and, just sort of make sure that everyone's on the same page. So stick around for more. Lifestyle coach Veronica Mays will be with us to show us healthy options to turn to when we're stressed out. We'll be right back.
What you eat has a huge impact on your health, and food is medicine. So here to highlight some healthy options for us is lifestyle coach Veronica Mays from Black Women for Wellness. Please welcome, give her a warm welcome. Thank you, Veronica.
Hello.
Yes.
Thank you.
So we're so delighted to have you here with us today.
I'm happy to be here.
Tell us a little bit about Black Women for Wellness.
Black Women for Wellness is a nonprofit organization in Leimert Park, and our mission is to help women and girls to achieve a better lifestyle.
Wow, I love that.
Yeah, isn't that wonderful?
I know. So tell us a little bit about the Kitchen Divas program.
Because we want to be kitchen divas.
Yeah.
That sounds fun.
You ladies are already kitchen divas.
right.
I'm wondering, do we have any kitchen divas in our audience?
Yes.
Whoa, yes. I knew it. I knew we had it. We do a interactive cooking classes throughout the inner city community, teaching women and their girls how to create some healthier choices in their everyday diet.
Okay, so you're really teaching people about food, and I love it. So we're addressing health and stress today, and you've brought some foods that we should eat or maybe we should not eat. So tell us what you brought for us today.
Not that you shouldn't eat them, but let's start over here with some of the items that we love, and we've grown up with these things. Most of these foods have a lot of calories. They have unsaturated fats. They have lots of refined sugar, lots of salt. So these are the things that we try to avoid because they don't readily go through your body the way that they should.
Yes.
We have lots of colors, dye colors. These things can be carcinogen.
So those are artificial colors, right?
Artificial colors. I mean, you can get real color from a beet. You want red? Let's boil a beet and get the red color.
Do you find that these are the sort of typical foods that people go to when they
Yes.
want to eat anything?
Yes. Because what happens here is your tongue is looking for fat, salt, and sugar.
Yes.
So these are the things. Twinkies.
Yeah.
Oh, what are these? Little donuts? Cookies?
Delicious.
We love chocolate. You open these things up. What is that? That Oreo with the chocolate and the white in the center? There's nothing but sugar.
It smells good.
So-
And look at you, Dr. Wendy.
So as we, yeah, no.
Sorry.
So do you think that, when we're stressed out, we were looking for all those different tastes, or what are we looking for
We're
to
looking for
satisfy
comfort.
us when we're stressed?
We're
That's
looking for
it.
comfort
That's
here.
it. Yes.
So we think that sweet, salty, fat. A friend of mine told me fat was the best thing. Oh, you've got to have it. But
Yeah.
we need good fats. So let's take a look at what could be a good fat.
All right.
Over here, we've got seeds and we've got nuts. We've got whole grains, beans. We've got yogurt. Yogurt has a good fat. So we need to look at things like this. Hummus, an avocado. In an avocado, you've got some of the best fat that you can eat. So we need to look at some of these foods. You like the crunch? That's what you get when you eat these guys, these little cheese
Right.
puffs. You want crunch? Aren't these two the same color?
Yeah, but I'm just guessing though that people are thinking that doesn't taste as good as that. That looks like a party. That looks like serious.
Now, look, listen, ladies. You know it takes about 21 days to create a new habit.
That's right.
Okay.
So you stop eating these for 21 days, these are going to be so delicious because your tongue is not going to crave this type of crunch, nor is it going to crave this type of salt and fat. Eating this hummus and these carrots, add some little bell pepper to it or fresh tomato. What do you get in tomatoes? Lycopene.
But look at all these nice, beautiful colors in the berries. There's so many minerals and nutrients in this food, and that's really what our body needs when we're trying to reduce our stress, right?
Bringing our body back to a calm.
Right.
The natural color, the natural sweetness. This is what your body needs to bring it back to a calm.
All right.
Okay. Whole grains, nuts, and these things are easy to take with you. When you're out, take a snack.
Okay.
Little Ziploc baggies. You can put your foods in little Ziploc baggies and have that snack when you need it. Because you will stop someplace and buy quick.
Yes.
Take the quick with you.
Yes, we love
It's hard
that.
to
We
not eat
love
this.
that.
It's real good. I mean, I get it. But I think I do, because you don't recommend eating this with, I just ate a blueberry and the cookie.
Yes.
It's not, you don't recommend doing it together.
Not together. Not the blueberry and the
Put that
cookie.
down.
The blueberry is going to give you the amount of sugar that you need.
You don't need this.
No, you don't need that cookie. And, ladies can have 6 teaspoons of sugar a day.
Wow, that's it.
Yes. So eat a handful of blueberries. I think that cookie is going to give you 7 or 8. So you're blowing your sugar for the
That's
day.
it, huh?
Yeah, you've blown your sugar
And
for
sugar
the
is the
day.
last thing we need for stress because it reduces our immune system,
Yes,
right?
it does.
And it causes weight gain. So
Yes, it
that's,
does.
the last
Yes,
thing
it
we
does.
want. That's the last
So
thing we
you
want.
don't want that.
All
And
right.
add more of these fibers to your diet. The fiber here is already cooked. So let's go back to this natural fiber.
So you guys, thank you so much. Remember, ladies, when we are trying to live a long, healthy life, right? The one way to do it is to shift and change your eating habits, better choices. So here's some takeaways. Incorporate healthy options into your daily routine, okay? By planning ahead. Don't give up, because I know it takes 21 days, right? But don't give up, you can do it. And remember, healthy food really does taste good, okay? It does, it really does.
And
Right?
food is an adventure. So go on the adventure ride.
So thank you so much, Veronica.
Thank you.
For sharing all these great options
Thank
with
you,
us
thank
today. And we'll be right back, where we're gonna continue discussing stress by answering some questions from the social media stratosphere. So don't go away, we'll be right back.
The world now connects through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Skype, FaceTime, and so many other platforms and apps. Our show is no different. We're excited to bring you today's Media Grab. It's about stress and health. Followers of the Lady Doctors can send in your questions, find out more information on the topics we cover, as well as links to our social media on www.theladydoctorstv.com. Wendy, who's our first question from today?
We have Dee on Facebook who wrote to us. She asked, Lady Docs, I get stressed. I gain weight, I diet and exercise, and the weight stays. I get stressed. How do I get off this treadmill? Pun intended. I cannot be the only one that feels like this. Please tell me that you in the audience also, this speaks to you.
Yeah.
Yes? Mm-hmm. How about you?
Okay, Wendy, I'm going to co-sign on everything that you've just said, right? I have found that over the years, as my life changes and gets a little more complicated, I need an accountability partner, so I have a trainer. But instead of beating myself up, I've learned how to embrace where I am and just love myself, and that's what you're going to have to do.
Oh, I like that.
Listen, I hear two things in the statement. One, diet. I don't know about you, but I don't like that word. Anybody you like?
Yes, it's a bad word.
So it's all about lifestyle, right? Diet is something you think you're going to do for a short period of time, but lifestyle is, over the long term. So D, definitely ditch the diet. Okay. Number two, ditch the treadmill, meaning when you have high stress, sometimes that intense exercise is not the best thing for you. Right? This 80-20 rule, have you guys heard of the 80-20 rule? I know it's pretty common, but as far as nutrition, it means that, as we're trying to, keep our body slim and trim, right? 80% of our body is the responsibility is our diet. So we're like trying to get on the treadmill, running around, and only 20% is related to our exercise. So again, it's the dietary lifestyle, that healthy living that's gonna show up here. So D, ditch the diet, change your lifestyle, and ditch the treadmill. Maybe do some yoga, tai chi, walking, that kind of good stuff.
I don't know. I hear what you're saying. However, my trainer said that if I have that triple cheeseburger, I need to work out for like 2 hours.
Here we go.
Right? He said, the more you burn, the more you can eat. I mean, relatively speaking, don't go crazy, but what you're saying is different.
But the trainer is thinking, what? Physiology. He's thinking calories in, calories out,
Exactly,
right?
right.
Have you guys ever heard, go see your doctor before you try this exercise routine?
Yeah.
So he's thinking solely physiology, right? He's not necessarily thinking from a health perspective, right, Dr. Crane, right?
Let's throw in the fact that this is not, your body isn't a simple math problem. We have so many more complicated, we've been talking about hormones, we've been talking about stress, we've been talking about a lot of different stuff. So it isn't just a calories in, calories out. Like we do need to think about how we self-regulate. Like, are we sleeping? Are we eating regularly? Are we exercising? Like, what is that like? And what are the needs of your body, right?
But we still cannot discount the physiology. It clearly takes 3,500 calories to burn a pound. So if you're eating 5,000 calories, you are not going to be losing any weight if you're not balancing that by burning that out. Now, whether it's something that's maybe lower, like Tai Chi, or something like, running, it doesn't really matter what you do as long as you do it, because if it's an exercise you don't like, it's not going to get done.
Right?
Also, though, if you're exercising you have 3,500 calories and you eat a 5,000 calorie cheeseburger, and you're
That's a big cheeseburger,
right?
I mean, I have eaten a few like that. I'm just saying. But I do think that we punish ourselves. We punish ourselves with exercise versus using it to if you have diabetes or 700 medical conditions, it doesn't matter anyway.
Right. And how, I don't know about you, but I, run on treadmills and do all that kind of stuff, and I don't burn off 3,500 calories.
I never lose weight.
It is so hard.
I found the low impact because Pilates for me is very important, really works. So
and it's
onto
a
something
fallacy.
there.
It's a fallacy that really intense exercise burns more calories, and so that's one of the
Well,
challenges.
it actually does burn more calories per hour than doing sitting down and say meditating. But it just depends on sort of the intensity, because some Tai Chi and things actually really are aerobic and can actually burn more calories that way.
So let's go to our second question, ladies, because it sounds like we got excited. There's lots to talk about. Our second question is from Letitia, and she asks, Dear Lady Doctors, I'm overwhelmed with stress. Please help. I can't seem to find balance between work, family, and school. They're all important, but I'm afraid I'm putting my health at risk by neglecting myself. What can I do to realign myself? Such a good question.
It's something about, prioritizing, because, as a physician, as a single mom, children, and my OBGYN being up and down 2 o'clock in the morning, it can really be tough. So really it's a matter of prioritizing and sort of figuring out what's important that day to get taken care of, because everything is not going to be done. And then, not feeling guilty about the things that you're not doing.
Goes back to your 3 R's, right?
3 R's, there you go.
And as a life coach, when I talk to clients, I always get that question, work-life balance. And it goes back to the ROI, the return on investment in your own life, relationships, What opportunities are you having to make an impact for others? But let's not forget the relationships includes the relationship we have with ourselves. We've got to take care of ourselves. You know, when you're on a plane and they say, do your mask first and then do someone else's.
That's right.
You
That's
have
right.
to take care of yourself
That's
first.
right, that's right. So that's the me time challenge, right? Schedule your me time.
Right. You
Important.
must.
So thank you, ladies, for your questions. Thank you, ladies, for your feedback. Couple things to remember. One is self-regulation, right? You got to find a way to fit it all in and maybe slow it down a little bit with the exercise. But to make sure you're taking care of yourself is a big piece of it. One is the 80-20 rule, which is maybe a new thing for some of us. And the other is rewarding yourself, right? Considering balancing, considering prioritizing, but also considering me time and putting you on the list as well.
Exactly.
Well, we appreciate all the questions and comments from our viewers. And this season on The Lady Doctors, we'll cover topics on cancer, heart disease, diabetes, stroke prevention, and so much more. You will experience an integrative and holistic approach to healing, loving, and enjoying your life, spiritually, mentally, and physically. If you have questions about these topics, reach out to us at theladydoctorstv.com, send us a message on Facebook, or send us a tweet. When we return, our discussion continues as we learn tips on how to wind down from a stressful day. We'll be right back.
Exercise is critical to the mind and the body. So whether you're doing aerobic exercise, strength training, or meditation, you're sure to release stress and transform your body inside out. Here with us today is licensed clinical psychologist and certified meditation instructor, Dr. Elisa Dennis. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
It's great to have you. As you know, we're talking about stress, and it's perfect that you're here because you've been practicing meditation for 16 years, which is a great way to reduce stress, right?
Absolutely.
What types of meditation do you practice, and can you tell us a little bit about them?
Sure. I practice mindfulness meditation, and mindfulness meditation is simply paying attention to your life, moment to moment, with kindness and curiosity.
So what are the benefits of meditation? It sounds like being forgiving with ourselves is one.
Absolutely. There are many benefits to practicing mindfulness meditation. First off, it helps to reduce stress, it reduces depression and anxiety, it helps to increase happiness and ease and well-being in the mind and in the body. It actually helps to reduce insomnia, it strengthens the immune system, and it also helps us to gain access to our emotions, right?
Wow, tons of benefits.
And in addition to that, it also helps us to increase our capacity to respond to situations by choice instead of reacting impulsively.
A lot of people, when I hear the emotions part, accessing, a lot of people are uncomfortable with that part of it, with accessing any emotions. Can you give people any advice for how to manage that?
You know what? That's a great question. I get it all the time. People think that meditation is about achieving bliss and relaxation, but it isn't. Meditation, we meditate in order to increase our awareness of both pleasant and unpleasant experiences in our life, because we have both, right?
Right. Does it need to be a spiritual exercise?
It does not need to be spiritual, right? If you want to bring your intention around spirituality to your practice, you can, but really meditation can just be brain training.
And how can people start a meditation practice at home?
Great question. I have four things that I want to cover here. The first is that you want to find a quiet place at home to meditate. You turn off your cell phone and the television. You increase the sense of quiet in the house. You let your family members know that you are meditating and you want to take time for yourself. Number two, you want to focus on continuity instead of quantity. So it's better to practice meditating 5 or 10 minutes a day instead of for a half an hour every 2 weeks. 3, you don't want to judge yourself if you miss a day. Just be gentle with yourself. And 4, what you want to do is you want to be able to bring mindfulness into your daily life. So I have an acronym called STOP. STOP stands for pause, take a breath, open to your experience, and proceed.
Great.
That's nice. So for all of you at home, we want you to get the most out of your meditation. So Dr. Elisa is going to walk us through the proper form when meditating. And the great news is that Gloria and Dr. Lisa volunteered to help us with the demonstration.
All
so
right.
let's go
do
join
it.
them.
Let's do it.
Can you tell us what the correct posture is to use when meditating?
They're sitting very nicely. You want to make sure that the back is straight but not stiff, feet planted firmly on the floor, and hands resting gently in the lap. Crown of the head turned toward the ceiling. And then we want to begin to either close our eyes gently or keep them open in a soft gaze toward a point on the floor. And then we want to drop our attention from the thinking mind into the body so that we're paying attention to the breath, to thoughts that are passing, feelings that are rising, and whatever body sensations might be here.
What's the importance of the breath? You said breath.
Beautiful question. We want to pay attention to the breath because the breath actually anchors us in the present moment.
Okay.
If we're in our mind thinking about the past or the future, we're not in the present moment. And we can only live fully in the present moment. So paying attention to the breath keeps us present.
So it almost, and I'm looking at the way they're positioned, they've got their clothes on, they've got shoes on. It looks like we could even do this at work if we need to take a time out.
Absolutely. You can practice stop, pause, take a breath, open to your experience, and proceed.
Great.
Thank you so much for being with us today, Dr. Elisa. That was really insightful and super helpful. Remember, the key to meditating is to increase awareness. Meditation can be secular or spiritual, and you can meditate anywhere and anytime throughout the day. Don't go anywhere. When we return, we'll share some of our personal tips on how to de-stress. We'll be right back.
Okay, give me a hug.
Practicing healthy habits is what we hope to inspire you to do. And as promised, we have some more tips on how to release some of the stress in your life. I enjoy going for a bike ride with my husband. It immediately clears my mind and really helps me solve some tough problems. Dr. Wendy, what do you do to de-stress?
I start with yoga.
One foot with heels.
And that doesn't work, I'll take a glass of red wine.
As for me, I yell at my kids. Well, no. Actually, I prefer kickboxing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm a meditator. I like to take it down. I guess you guys couldn't figure that one out by yourself, you know.
Yeah,
absolutely.
and breathing.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, I like all of the above. And I also go to classes related to dance and movement therapy. That's tons of fun.
That sounds like fun.
But I'd love to share it with you guys.
Because I have no rhythm.
Yeah?
So
We got
I'll do what I can.
Okay, let's give it a try. Let's give it a try. Okay, and so let me just real quickly mention that dance and movement therapy came about in the 1940s, and the therapists believe that when you move your body and you're moving it in the space that you're in, that it creates a connection between your body, mind, and spirit. And that this movement, and you guys follow me, it improves your physical, emotional, and it makes you happy and also healthy. And also when you're in a group and you move, you're mirroring each other.
Oh, look at that.
And you open yourself up
Like that.
for love.
We know you do.
Ooh. And also as women, what we need is to open up our space for love.
Oh,
But if you don't want to do it in a group, you can also just do it alone and just dance. So you can do that? Let's just do it.
All right. Well, that was so much fun. We hate to go. But remember, fun is also an important part of life. We hope that you took away some valuable knowledge and some useful tips that will empower you to live the healthy, holistic, purpose-filled life you choose. Please come back for a follow-up appointment. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and visit us on the web at www.theladydoctorstv.com. On behalf of my sister doctors who are rocking the house, please be well, stay blessed, and get healthy. All right, ladies, let's raise